Well, Coach, opportunity to see your team in the stadium today. What were your initial reaction for the scrimmage?
Some good, some bad, like any scrimmage. The coach structured the scrimmage so there's the one offense versus the two defense and the two offense versus the one defense. And probably as you'd expect, I thought the one offense moved the ball pretty well against the twos, and the one defense did a pretty good job against the two offense. The threes were probably even Steven, probably 50-50, some good and bad on each. You were the ones where you're looking for that group to perform at a pretty high level. They should against the twos, and when you're looking for them to communicate and challenge them to do a really good job. And with the twos and threes, you're just looking for a player to emerge, to continue to establish depth. We're kind of running out of time here. Camp's over, and really after tomorrow's evaluation of his tape, it's about time to turn the page and start getting ready for our first opponent.
You've got obviously some experience coming back with the front line secondary guys. How's that depth situation starting to build in the secondary?
Okay. It depends on the day. If you'd asked me yesterday, I'd had a different answer than today. If I asked me 2 days ago, I'd had a different answer than that day. So that's probably not a great sign, but that's why they're not on the first line. Everybody's had their moments. Everybody's had their moments. At the corner position, Tyler Williams was probably been the most consistent performer of the guys that aren't on that first line. Corey Charles had a nice interception yesterday. Today, though, I'm excited about the freshmen. Specifically, I'm talking about Martin Emerson and Jarian Jones. Martin Emerson had an interception in the scrimmage tonight, and I think those guys have a lot of ability, and we got to get those guys ready to play. At the safety position, I think nobody's really emerged. I'm waiting for someone to emerge, as a surefire backup, kind of like what Landrews or Morgan might have been last year. And I suppose Guidry's had a good camp, but I didn't think I thought other people performed better than him today. London Craft's been hot and cold, but he had a really good scrimmage today, so I was very, very positive, a step forward. And Sean Preston is in the mix, and of the young guys, I'd say, Colin Duncan's had a pretty good camp. He shows promise. He's probably not quite ready for prime time. He's probably going to get his feet wet on special teams to start with and gain some experience before he's ready to get into a game against really good competition.
You talk about it in the mix.
Marcus Murphy.
Hot and cold. Marcus, as we know, has had he's had some distractions and things like that. So, Marcus is, we support Marcus in every way we can, and when he's locked in and focused and he's here and doing things he's supposed to do, Marcus is an extremely, extremely talented person and a versatile performer in the back end.
On the defensive tackle, Coach, you mentioned some guys kind of in the mix. Who would you say right now are the guys that have kind of stood up and stepped forward?
It's going to be by committee. The plan right now is to play a bunch of guys, between 20 and 25 snaps a game. So, between Lee Autry, between Fabian Lovett, Jaden Crumity, then you got James Jackson, Kendall Jones, and I call the two young guys, Cam Young and Nathan Pickering. We're going to just keep throwing them in there, rotate them, and they really only need to be first and second down guys, because I think we have some answers and can do some different things on third down, putting some defensive ends inside on third down. So if we can get those guys feet wet, other than Lee, none of those guys. Kendall's a senior, but none of those guys have a significant amount of experience.
How much is Jack? Not so much knocking the rust off, but with James Jackson getting back on defense, how long did it take him to get back in that groove and that mindset?
He's still working through some things, I'm sure. But he's got a good attitude. He's got a good work ethic. He's a good guy to have in the room. He always has a nice disposition about him. And like I said, he's a big body. He's very, very athletic. When I first got here, he was, I think, 350-some pounds, and he's worked himself into really good shape and provides some leadership for that group. So, he's going to be a guy that's going to have to play 15, 20 snaps a game and, get himself into a position. And as guys emerge and guys continue to get better, then the rotation will sort of clear itself up at that point. It's kind of a guessing game right now, a little bit.
Marquis Spencer had the red shirt last year. How has he kind of responded this year?
Good. He's in a competitive situation. I say competitive. The competition is probably like who's going to be out there the first play. We rotate guys, and there's four defensive ends who've kind of stood above the rest, between Chauncey and Fletcher on one side, Chauncey Rivers and Fletcher Adams, and Kobe Jones and Marquise on the other side. I think they're all really good. I think they all have played at a pretty consistent level thus far during camp. I'm pretty excited about those guys, and candidly, I'm pretty excited. I think Aaron Odom's taking a step in the right direction, and we're going to need that because there's always injuries. We understand that, and we're going to need that for the future. And the two freshmen are good. DeMonte Russell has shown that he could potentially have a role maybe on third down with our team, and then Jack Harris is a good player. Jack Harris, isn't necessarily as explosive as some of these other guys maybe, but he holds his gap. He does what he's asked. He's very, very strong, and I think he's got a really bright future.
You call Fred Peters a utility guy back on media day. Is there anywhere in particular you see him getting more of the snaps at, or is
Nickel.
he really? Okay.
Yeah, he's again, things change. That was media day, so that was a while ago. Camp's always fluid, from day to day, from week to week, and you're kind of making decisions, and Fred's probably, his role right now will be the backup nickel and contribute on special teams and things like that. We got to kind of sort of sort through some things in some of our different packages, but he plays the nickel, and he's our starting dime when we go into a dime package. But Fred's been pretty consistent and pretty steady, and again, another guy with a great attitude and really fits the the culture of our room on defense and of our program that Coach Moore has put together.
You mentioned a lot of young guys may get some reps this year. Where is I know Aaron Brule played the maximum 4 games last year, but still got the red shirt, and obviously he's at a position of depth too. What have you seen from him in camp so far?
He's you guys all follow basketball. He's like a point guard who's a little bit out of control. You can see the signs that he's really, really good. And, there's plays out there that he really flashes, but then there's plays he's like a blur, and he may or may not be going in the right direction. But he has ability. We saw that in the spring game last year. He had a pick 6. He flashes. He's big. He's strong. He's physical. He's fast. And we got to all remember that he's really, going through it's not his first camp, but it's the first camp where there's some expectation for him. A little bit like what I said with Colin Duncan maybe, and that's probably who I'd compare him to. Colin Duncan's the same way. He probably needs to have some success on special teams, gain a little bit of self-confidence, and when he does that, I think you'll see him, gravitate to more of a role.